The story begins with the identity of a man named Mao. He is the king of Labyrinth, who feeds off people's emotions by creating dungeons. His created dungeon is not that of a heinous demon that makes death the end product of desperation and fear for its people. His created dungeon is of a city. It happens to be the strongest dungeon in modern city. In that city, neither fear nor despair is being realized. They use hope and smiles as fuel. The city is a place where demons and humans coexist. It is named Avalon. Back a little to some time, a boy was found in a lonely place. He awoke, and then a woman showed up in front of him. He had questions about his identity but could not get a realistic answer before a beast attacked him. To defend himself, he creates a weapon from his memory and fires at the beast. The lad before him knew about magic creation. It's a skill that uses magic to create items proportionally and to materialize things from memory and imagination, although he can't make anything that is alive. With much concern, the boy was still worried about his personality. The lady introduced herself. She is the demon king of beasts, named Marchojas, but she is being referred to as Marco. Marco said she congratulated his birth as the demon king. She told the boy that his name was Procel. Procel asked Marco what a demon king was, and she followed Marco to where a crystal was placed. Procel wanted to touch it, but Marco stopped him. She explained what the crystal is. The crystal stands as the dungeon core, and above all, it's the source of Marco's power. If it is destroyed, Marco won't die but will be powerless. Procel was so sensitive that he thought he could also have a crystal since he was one of the demon kings. Then he asked after his crystal, which Marco never showed him so that he wouldn't have to worry. Next, Marco read the main responsibilities of demon kings to him, which are to lead the demons, create dungeons, and reign over the dungeons. By doing so, they entice humans to come inside their dungeon, because with humans' strong emotions and power of life, they accumulate and upgrade their dungeon points. Marco told Procel that she is his parent and will guide him throughout the year. From there, Procel started his world, creating his dungeon. Firstly, he started with the formation of demons and guardians of demons, then moved on to stealing the emotions and lives of outsiders, which means a dungeon is being formed. Forming demons is done by joining two metals that can be made by a demon king once a month. The birth of a demon is determined by the attributes of the metals. For example, a beast metal can birth a demon that rules over beasts, while a fire metal can birth a fire-governing demon. But as for Procel, he possesses the ability to create metals. This ability can change the attribute of the metal to his liking. Another attribute is that he can choose what demon to spawn out of countless possibilities. But he has a drawback, which is that he needs 3 metals to birth one demon. Marco was aware of this, and she was excited. She promised Procel that she would get him coins from other demon kings for his demon formation. She did this because she noticed that Procel could birth a demon stronger than other normal demons. What Procel desires from his new life is friendship. The day he was born as the demon king, he shivered in loneliness, which made him need a friend to grow with and be with. With time, he found Celestial Fox in S rank. The first day they met each other, Fox rushed to him and grabbed him tight with happiness and excitement. Marco stated that his deep consciousness must have desired Fox. Fox introduces herself to Procel as Tanko, someone with no name. She referred to Procel as Daddy, and due to that, she requested a name from Procel. Marco holds him back from speaking a word. She never wanted him to be careless around foxes. She whispered to his ear that it is not good to name a demon, citing an example of the first 3 demons. The demon king became a contracted demon, part of the parenting aspect of Marco. After that, Procel tries to dodge the request. He tells her that he will do so as soon as he learns more about his identity and powers. Tenko agreed, even though he made a nasty face afterward. Marco takes him to the next level since he has a partner already, which is to enter into the whirlwind of chaos. This place is a place where low-level demons spawns are. With that, Procel can test Tenko's powers, and Procel should also be able to learn more about the battle experience. They enter the place, and in no time, Tenko begins to show her power. As for Procel, a demon king, he can't afford to lose to a fox. He started an action and created a weapon that could attack from afar, and he noticed that Tenko also needed one like that. After that challenge, the next thing is for Procel to start thinking about the kind of dungeon he would create. Once Procel makes a dungeon, Tenko will have to fight for her life against the outsiders. But Procel never wants that. He thinks of creating a dungeon where no one has to battle. Marco is impressed. She commends him. She realizes he will surely become a better demon king. All Procel wants as a demon king is to create a world where everyone can be friendly with each other, a world filled with peace and settlement. Tenko woke up early in the morning to prepare breakfast for herself and Procel, but Procel was unhappy. He counts himself as her guardian. He should be the one doing that. In no time, Tenko burned the breakfast on fire, and then Procel had to warn her not to do something she was not used to. Procel, Tenko, and Marco all have a family breakfast on a large dining table. Marco questioned Procel about the progress of his dungeon since it had been a month since he awoke. Prosul has to build up power before the upcoming meeting that all demon kings will attend, the evening party. The main objective of the evening party is to present the 10 new demon kings, which include Prosul. Marco explained to him that he'll be a target if he is looked down on. Marco knew he wanted to protect Tenko, and she revealed that the only way he could do that was to demonstrate his strength at the party. Prosul created some skeleton army. Marco asked about it. The previous day, Prosul and Tenko went to a cave, named Crimson Cave, to further accumulate battle experience and skills. The cave is a cave without a demon king. Prosul is taught that crystals are the source of power for the demon king in a particular dungeon, and they are also the core of the dungeon. If the crystal is broken, then the dungeon, the demon king, and the demons within it will surely perish. But in the Crimson Cave case, it happens that the demon king disappears, the crystal goes out of control, and then it keeps spawning demons infinitely. The master of the Crimson Cave was the late demon king of fire. Since the master was late, Marco took over and watched over it. She is an acquaintance. She carries a strong sense of duty. They started the battle, and Tenko was the first to experience the strength of those demons. Her weapon got broken even before she attacked any of them. Prosul worried less. He already knew they came to the Crimson Cave to test the skeleton army to see their practical uses. He created them from his imagination as usual, got them set, and then fought. They perform well, he commands them as a commander, and they all obey his instructions. From there, Marco fished out a question for Prosul, asking him how he survived. Prosul explains that the skeleton army won't work well unless there's someone to control them. In a month, 2 medals are being published. Considering that, Marco realizes that Prosul should have 2 presently, and he needs 3 to birth a demon. Then, Marco promises to give him an earth medal. This medal has an affinity with the undead. Tenko is unhappy because she does not like the skeleton army. She is always scared around them. Prosul is set to start with the spawn of a demon. He needs more magic to get it done, although the quality of the medal and the monster that comes out of the world drop 1 rank. Prosul never retreated. He said he'd try. Prosul notices the create imitation with him, an attribute he changed in the past. He must have changed the create imitation unconsciously into a human one. Finally, he uses human imitation to create an elderly dwarf in rank S. To clean and maintain the guns created, Prosul needs a master blacksmith who can maintain the weapons without his help. Tenko approaches the elder dwarf and decides to name it El-chan. She brags about being her older sister. Tenko grabs her weapon to explain it to El-chan, but she grabs it hard and then shoots it upward. El-chan revealed that the weapon bolstered her imagination, and Marco testified that Prosul had made another peculiar character. Elder Dwarf, known as El, became Prosul's blacksmither as he desired. She is stronger than Prosul thought, even in all aspects. Ever since she was created, she has always been in her room, working hard on systems and the web. After some time, Prosul notices that the mine area is being filled with golems that El created on her own through the science of innovation. She is rarely found eating. Most of the time, she eats on her own. Marco and Prosul try hard many times to caution her, but she draws out weapons and attacks them, saying that they are getting in his way. Her attitude is completely strange. The long-awaited day finally arrives. The day meant for all new demon kings to be present, the evening party. Prosul put on a formal dress made for him by Marco. She never wanted any other demon king gathered at the party to underrate him. In return, Prosul appreciated it but complained that it was a bit much on him and he could not move easily. He said great things about Marco's dress, then requested Tenko's dress. He asked after El, but as usual, she was always busy, and they thought she was not going to attend the party with them. Prosul faces Tenko and asks her about what she knows that El is doing because she has been around El recently. Before Prosul could finish his statement, they heard a blast on the wall. It was El coming in with a huge machine designed by her for the desired weapon, increased production, and maintenance. At first, Marco was concerned about the wall of her dungeon, which was being smashed down, but later he was confused about how El could finish such a huge machine in such a short period. She opened the box filled with weapons. That had been the reason she had been in her room for a long time. The weapon Prosul created for Tenko was also remodified by El. El started introducing her modified weapon. One was named E01S. What she used in modifying it was Prosul's shotgun for the base, and she used mithril to make the body lighter and harder. Using a 4-gauge bullet, the power is increased, which means that it can repeatedly release fire that can blow up people. El states that she has added a handy magazine to the easy-to-use semi-automatic mechanism as a bonus. She calls it her best product because she puts all her knowledge into it. At that moment, Prosul knew that he had the wrong impression of her in the first place. El is always triggered when it comes to weapons, so all this while he's working on getting a modified and high-rated weapon for her master. Prosul encouraged her, and then for the first time, she referred to Prosul as Daddy. El gets herself prepared for the party. Prosul was happy knowing that the party would be a great opportunity for him to meet with older demon kings and receive tips from them on how to build his dungeon. Also, meeting the other 9 new demon kings that were recently awakened would be a great privilege for him to make them friends, even thinking of making them a lifelong friend. The contracted demons of Marco arrived at the place. At first, they threatened Prosul and El, squeezing their necks almost to death. Prosul was able to discover this because he could feel the same power as Marco in those guys. Marco contracted 3 demons. They are named Children of the Stars and consist of Arachne Amorite, Lion Griffin Goruguna, and Tartarus Kurayami. The imitation of the evening party arrives. It's like a voice that later turns into lightning and then makes them disappear from their current position to a place where the meeting is going to take place. Getting there, Prosul thought the venue was a garden, but when he turned back, he could see the Demon King's palace. It was the residence of the creator of all the Demon Kings. Marco explained what an evening party looks like to Prosul. The Demon King's palace is well known to be a hunting ground. She explains further that a Demon King will always invite prey into its dungeon and then feed on the emotions of fear and despair. She made it clear to him that this was his crucial first stage. Prosul and his other accomplices entered the Demon King's palace, and everywhere was filled with chatter and joy. Prosul met with other Demon Kings that are older. He was glad and honored to speak with an existing Demon King. The Demon King offered him a Death Imitate medal for appreciation, while Prosul offered a Flame Imitate medal. Seeing that, Marco commenced his action. Prosul knew that even though the Demon Kings act friendly, their murderous intent is still very genuine, due to what Marco told him about the evening party. As for Marco, she is enjoying herself, but for Prosul, the Demon King Palace is a place for meeting old friends. Other than Tenko and El, Prosul brought along the skeletons with him. They started attracting attention, and this bothered Prosul. Due to that, Marco told him that the inexperienced ones can't discern high and low-level monsters. She explained further that to recognize those who are inexperienced, they look at the skeletons and laugh. But those who look at El and Tenko understand their identities, so Prosul needs to worry about them and not about the skeleton. Marco enlightened him that his great ability was an attractive one. There would be many people coming after his crystal to destroy it for them to gain his power, which means the Demon King that destroyed his crystal gained the ability to make his metals. He was kind of unhappy, but Marco, as a parent, encouraged him, promising to support him till he became independent. Prosul never expected that. All he could think of was the harshness of that world, even though he doubted Marco's trust. To Prosul's surprise, he noticed that there was an attendance in the form of skeletons at the party. From right there, he knew that there must be a miserable Demon King there. Prosul meets with the owner, who happens to be a newly awakened Demon King of Wind. She approached Prosul while trying to use her ability to check through their identities, but she couldn't. She was able to analyze their rank, a C-rank Yako, and a dwarf. The Demon King of Wind of that new generation blesses Prosul with a wind imitation medal since they are both from the same generation. The purpose of giving it to Prosul is for him to make a strong and proud demon. Actually, she's making fun of his creatures. Well, the Demon King of Wind is a Demon King who has been absent for years. Although she is an inexperienced Demon King who got caught in a skeleton trap, Prosul could not help but be worried. But at that moment he couldn't make any moves. First, Prosul thanks Strauss for the medal. He also wants to return the favor, but Strauss makes fun of his creatures by saying they are failures. She added that she never wants to make failures like them. Prosul was furious. He yelled many times, trying to tell her not to make those statements again. She never yielded. Strauss made another worse statement by saying Prosul himself is a failure. This practically would have led to an intense battle. They were interrupted by the same voice Prosul heard when they were being invited to the party. The purpose of the voice is to show forth the 10 new Demon Kings that they have in the new generation. The 10 new Demon Kings are to compete in war as entertainment for the party, destroying each other's cause, of which Prosul was not aware before. The first round of the fight will be between the Demon King of Wind Strauss and the Demon King of Create Prosul. Strauss was happy. To her, she found the perfect time to show Prosul who the real failure was. Newly awakened Demon Kings are not allowed to make dungeons before they are invited to the party. They are supposed to have a non-interference rule with other Demon King dungeon. But for war, after the evening party, all Demon Kings are to participate in at least one party, and they don't stop there. At the party, the war was set for entertainment. Marco is furious to know that the war is set all because of boredom, but Prosul is not bothered. He did his research and found out that their game uses crystal, which is not real, and the Demon King of Time will return whatever is lost in the game. Prosul was happy. He commended Marco for seeing through before time. She had been encouraging him to strengthen up. Also, due to what he learned from previous Demon Kings, it will be of help to him. Since they are going to create a dungeon in white space for the battle to take place, Marco asks Prosul about his dungeon idea, to which he answers that it is a completely blank slate. He revealed that his intention wasn't originally to fight but to make something conventionally not called a dungeon because he wants a friendly world. But now he can't do that. Strauss will surely come to crush his dungeon with full force, and he doesn't want injuries for El and Tenko. He also needs to win against Strauss. To do that, he needed a combat-based dungeon, which he had no choice but to build. In the game they are about to play, Procel understands that they are allowed to create only one level with 3 floors of dungeon. To his best knowledge, the more complicated a dungeon is, the more robust it will be, and anything glamorous will consume more magical powers. In his current state, he can create most things. But he realizes that creating a complicated and robust dungeon is just a waste of time. He thinks of his creatures. El and Tenko's abilities are impeccable, but as for the rest, they are sketchy. These are the army skeleton, which only follows commands, and the rest are golems. Now, Procel also has a new great metal that the creator made for just the game, combined with the death and wind imitation metal he got from the evening party. He thinks uncontrollably about how to set up his dungeon to defeat Strauss. He thought of the method of using golems as a defense wall, but he realized they were too slow for defense. With time, he got the idea of putting the golems in a narrow way so that Strauss wouldn't have an escape chance. The battle between the Demon King of Create, Procel, and the Demon King of Wind, Stolas, is about to begin. They are given a white space. They set up for them the rules, which are so simple that it is explained to them that each Demon King will generate a 1-level, 3-floor dungeon in that white space. They have only one task to do out of 2. Either destroy the crystal in the depths of the dungeon of an opposing Demon King or defeat the Demon King itself. The winner will be the one standing. It is explained to them that the demons used to invade other dungeons and the demons used to protect their dungeon will become the keys to victory. The white space is set up to show the dungeons of the 2 fighters. Strauss's dungeon is good-looking, a flashy dungeon that shows her personality well compared to Procel's dungeon. The inside itself isn't special, it's just like a cave. Mainly, looking at Stolas' armies are far more numerous than Procel's army. There are at least 100 of them, but from what Marco told him, he found out that Wind can create clones. Tenko asked Procel to know his plan. The next statement from Procel looks simple. According to Stolas' comment on the Procel dungeon, it looks trashy. The king of all demons sees that both sides are ready, and he commands the war to start. Stolas starts by using teleportation magic to protect her crystal. She knows that if the crystal is destroyed or the Demon King themselves is defeated, they lose. She thought of sending her contacted demon, Rosalite, as a commander to other demons. Stolas' army is ready to attack. But as for Procel, he is not showing any sign of movement or attack. They are not allowed to fight inside the white space. They only have to destroy the crystal. With rage in Stolas' heart, she wants to directly duel Procel and not only destroy his crystal. At Stolas' camp, they try to find out what Procel's intention is. From their view, they see that Procel has no intention of defending his dungeon or attacking theirs. Stolas was confused, thinking he was confident in protecting his dungeon. After a while of thinking, she has no choice. She sends out all of the copies and half of the main troops to attack Procel's dungeon. She plans to invade the enemy base, which is Procel, and at once kill them. After explaining her plans, she charged Squad 1. The troops were getting there, but they couldn't enter at once because the entrance was so small. Stolas' army enters the Procel dungeon little by little, with surprisingly no movement or form of attack. Rosalite said she would communicate with the demons that went inside with her telepathy. Stolas could not wait. She asked Rosalite to send some reinforcements, but Atlas understood that it would take time before the crystal could be destroyed. After waiting sometimes, they notice nothing is moving. It doesn't look like a contest. Stolas asked Rosalite if she had made contact with the demon inside, but she said there was no response from that. She was confused. She thought the demons had been defeated, but Rosalite thought that there should be contact if they were defeated. Rosalie thought of getting the second squad ready, but Stolas knew there was something strange inside the dungeon. Stolas entered Procel's dungeon. She thought Procel didn't recognize her spirit, concluding that he was a weak demon. But on the other end, Procel notices Stolas' spirit because the dungeon is connected to his conscience, which helps him detect Stolas. Entering the dungeon, she found out that there was a straight line made of rock. She concludes that the dungeon is not to be compared with her own. Moving forward, she looks worried about her army. She finds out that they are dead in the narrow path of those straight lines of rocks. On the same path, she noticed some golems holding hard weapons in their hands. Seeing the brutality in her army, she could tell that the golems were responsible. Rosalite arrived with the second squad of army. And then again, the golems were activated to work. They shot tons of bullets at the entrance, which made Procel make his dungeon have only one entrance so that the golems could be able to shoot through one entrance. In that situation with Stolas, Procel could feel her fear and despair flowing through him. He summoned El and Tenko, and with a weapon in his hand, it was time for him to strike. Stolas, seeing her contracted demon lying dead on the ground, is a bit of concern to her. She was born and awakened under the demon king of dragons, Asteros. She didn't know the right direction. She had had numerous times when she wanted to run away, but with the help of her contracted demons, they supported her through the tough times, helping her to be someone they could be proud of. The contracted demons never wanted to lose her to anyone, but as for her current state, she realized she had made the wrong decision. Her commandments are completely wrong, putting her contracted demons in danger. Stolas thought she could win against Prosul with a large army. That was the reason she pushed a large army, almost her entire army, to attack, but to her surprise, they'd been completely down. Before the war started, Stolas had already contacted her guardian, Asteros. She was told that Prosul is bringing in low-level monsters like Skeleton. In reference, Asteros told her to give it her best because whether it results in a win or a loss, it will become a huge experience for her. Asteros gave her a view of what her dungeon should look like. A maze full of pitfall traps, a gorge, and a lava zone. Either the three of these are maps that use the mobility and flight abilities of the demons, but she never heeds them. When she realizes it, it is too late. Stolas has already lost hope. She is about to be shot by the golems, but Rosalite saves her. Rosalite took Stolas out of the dungeon in the meantime. Rosalite told Stolas about the first floor of Prosul dungeon. Stolas thought of having a victory over Prosul by clearing his dungeon's first floor. Stolas noticed that the golems were with full force. Rosalite asked for a means of getting into the dungeon, and she started a word of encouragement to Stolas just directly, as she thought. Stolas sums up her courage. She is aware that the lives of her contracted demons are in her hands, and she never wants to lose any more friends. Watching her friends die in her presence is a sad thing to her. According to Rosalite, Stolas thought of a formation that could be used. She explained that the accuracy of the steel pipe the golems are holding is not high for an attack, although that doesn't mean it's safe. Stolas explained her formation to Rosalite. The formation is to place the copy and the real Masamune to make a defensive wall of wind. Then behind, a copy and real Phobos will run through with high speed. Behind the Phobos, she will be there, while Rosalite will cast strengthening magic from behind. With this formation, Stolas was encouraged. All her formation concluded in going through the enemy's cowardly trap from the front. Getting to the entrance, Stolas made the command of a wall of wind. Then she commanded Rosalite to perform a strengthening spell on everyone from the back. Next, she sent in decoy demons to guard her dungeon. The aim of Stolas' formation is for them to move closely to the golems while they think about whom to attack with their steel pipe. Eventually, her formation was rendered useless. All the decoy troops were killed, and the aim of the golems was concentrated straight on Rosalite and Stolas. Stolas never knew that Prosul had prepared a trap for her kind of formation. One of her contracted demons promised to protect her with its wall of wind but was also killed. She was surprised to note that the wall of wind had no use. The Phobos she was riding on were also down. This was because of the effect of the yellow air poison used by Prosul in that environment. They stopped moving, and now she can't fully dodge herself. To prevent Stolas from dying, Rosalite surrendered herself. She defended Stolas by coming in front of the bullet so that it wouldn't penetrate Stolas. With Rosalite's last strength, she pushed out Stolas so that she could be saved. Later on, she realizes that the Phobos did not die. The yellow poison just drained its system for perfect functioning. Prosul, El, and Tenko went in search of Stolas in her dungeon. She sat right before her dungeon crystal, expecting them to come, and it happened as expected. Prosul talked about how he was able to get into her dungeon. He explained to her the emotion she was feeling at that moment, the love she felt for her friends, and the sadness of losing them. Prosul tries with an encouraging word, telling her that everything will finish soon, only if she surrenders her crystal so it can be destroyed and over. Stolas was stiff-necked and filled with rage for revenge. She joined the dragon metal and her ace metal together to form a demon. The dragon metal will boost all her abilities and add an uncontrollably passive berserk mode, since she has lost everything. All she could think of was to battle against Prosul with a demon and compensate all its allies that she has lost. The joining of the dragon metal and ace metal spawns an emerald dragon. Everyone was impressed by the transformation of the demon king of wind. The huge emerald demon was attractive to them, although they knew Prosul also had some pretty demon abilities. Now that an emerald dragon is involved, they expect a win from the emerald dragon. The emerald dragon is a jade dragon made by combining the wind metal and the dragon metal, which are two of the strongest metals. Gaining power through berserk in exchange for intellect will truly surpass S-rank demons. Tenko was a little bit scared, but Prosul had already told them what the plan was. He then commands them to begin the war. The Prosul team started by shooting the emerald dragon at some pivotal points. Later, El was the first to discover that the bullets were not penetrating. The emerald dragon had some very hard scales body. However, since there are only two conditions for victory in the war, which are either to defeat the Demon King or to destroy the crystal that is the source of the Demon King's power, Prosul does not need to go directly against the demon. The duty given to Tenko was to find the crystal and destroy it. while El and Procel kept fighting the Emerald Dragon, but Tenko could not find the crystal. When the dragon is being created, it has already swallowed the crystal inside of him, leaving the Procel team with only one condition, which is to win against the dragon. The Emerald Dragon attacked them massively, while Procel was concerned about why the bullets were not going through the dragon's body. After a while, he found out that the dragon was putting on an armor of wind that was thoroughly weakening the power of the bullet. At this point, El reveals the true power of the E1S gun that she modified. The gun has an auto-shoot function, which Procel is half aware of. El never wanted to use that function because it's still in the development stage. She explained that it might break if the function is in action, and that's the main reason she avoids the use of auto-shoot in the first place. But in their current situation, the only way to penetrate the armor the dragon is putting on is to use the auto-shoot function of the gun. As Procel and his accomplice were preparing to attack, the Emerald Dragon began to remove its scales. He made a storm that carried its scales around. These scales were hard enough to cut through bodies, and it injured Tenko so much that they couldn't afford to get close to the dragon at that moment. With the situation, El requests that Procel give a name to Tenko. She realized they couldn't win with the high attack the dragon was sending towards them. But if Tenko could become a contracted demon to Procel, then they could stand a chance for a victory against the Emerald Demon. Tenko could not help but yell at El because she knew the promise she had made from the beginning. She explained to El that she'd be given a name on the condition that Procel could trust her and her abilities. As for Procel, he wants to properly investigate who he chooses to become his contracted demon. Normally, demons are obedient to the demon king they are contracted to, but they are not daft. Due to Procel's experience, he has come across a situation where a demon king is being framed up by his contracted demon, which reverses his position as a demon king. To tell the truth, Tenkos are intelligent demons, but Procel needs to identify if they can be trusted. At that moment, Procel could not waste more time. He had to name Tenko. Then he named her Kuina. Kuina happens to be her first contracted demon. Procel requests that Kuina show him that she has real strength. He never wants to be disappointed by the first person he entrusts to be his contracted demon. Then Kuina takes up the challenge as his contracted demon. Procel went to take a seat and rest, while Kuina was the one at the battlefront. Whenever a demon king names a demon, in return, they become their contracted demon, and by doing so, the demon receives a large amount of power. So, Kuina's transformation ability was powered by the Demon King's power. She obtained more power than the Emerald Dragon. She grew into an adult. Kuina was happy. She thanked El for making the process faster for her. The battle went intensively. It is now between Kuina and the Emerald Dragon. Kuina fought with full force and was able to defeat the Emerald Dragon. With this, the battle concluded, and the king of all demons announced the winner, which was the Demon King of Creation, Procel. The audience all cheered up. They were all surprised. Marco was happy and impressed. Procel has to thank Marco for her support and guidance all through. He also thanks Kuina and El for being there for him. He realized that if not for them, he would not have been able to win the challenge. Marco stepped out of the scene, while Stolas appeared as a friend to Procel. Stolas was able to get all the lost because the Demon King of Time brought them back. She also apologized for what she did back at the evening party. She revealed that all she did was look down on Procel and his abilities. She never expected that Procel could break through that first floor after he saw it. Also, Stolas never talked low of Procel's demons anymore. She told him to be proud of them. Another thing Stolas felt was how Procel treats his demons as friends, which she also wants to imitate. Now on to Procel. All he could say was to thank Stolas for being his first opponent. Procel requests that Stolas should be his friend. Stolas was surprised at that, so she apologized for making fun of him and was also glad that the first defeat she could ever experience was from Procel. After all, they grabbed each other's hands and became friends so easily. Procel was happy to have a demon king in his generation as a friend. Also, the Demon King of Dragons, Astaros, appeared and thanked Procel for making her daughter feel defeated. Astaros was sure that Stolas would grow even further. As a token of appreciation, Astaros gave Procel an original dragon medal and a pigeon demon so they could write letters to each other for easy communication since they were friends. In addition, Stolas also gave Procel a wind medal as a gift. Procel measured the success of the evening party based on what he achieved. He was worried about how the party was going to be, but now that he could achieve more, he counted the party as a success. Astaros knew Marco would be proud. He revealed to Procel that the current job Marco is performing is the last job she has to do before she vanishes. Astaros explained further to Procel that the Demon King's lifespan is 300 years. After the existence of those 300 years, they vanished without people knowing about their whereabouts. Meanwhile, new Demon Kings are born every 10 years, and the nurturing of these Demon Kings is given to those who don't have much lifespan to spend. Procel requested the current age of Marco. And Asteros revealed that Marco was 299 years old at that moment, meaning Marco only had 1 year to live. Procel could not help. He went to meet Marco and yelled at her. He was furious because Marco did not say anything about her lifespan to him. Marco was glad that her last job was to be Procel's parent, and it was a success. She revealed that she can disappear without any worry, but she still wants to figure out what Procel dungeon will look like. She asked if Procel had any idea of dungeon during the evening party. Then Procel revealed that the dungeon he is planning to make is a city, just like Procel has always aimed for. He wants a dungeon that does not hurt anyone or any of his friends. He had always dreamed of a peaceful dungeon. Seeing someone lose their important friends and the sadness of losing their important friends are things Procel never wanted to experience. He decided the dungeon he would be making was a city, instead of a city filled with sadness. He desired a city that would be filled with happiness and hope. All he thought was to use feeling as a source of his dungeon. This was something Marco never expected. She was impressed. She was glad that her last job was to be Procel's parent, and she promised to watch over Procel very nicely and slowly with her remaining lifespan that she had. This birthed the Demon King of town planning.